Stanford University.
Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'd like to describe two threads that have occurred historically and then try to interweave them in the current state in the form of what we're calling the Stanford Distinguished Careers Institute. The first is the thread of aging and longevity, which is really a topic of today. You know, if you think back at the beginning of the 20th century, the expected survival of a man was 46 years. It was 52 for a woman. In 1933, when Social Security was enacted, the average survival was 61 years for a man and just 65 for a woman. It made sense to have Social Security enacted at that point because one didn't survive very long. Fast forward to 2015. The average survival for a man is over 76 years, 82 for a woman, and increasing over time. So we're in the midst of the largest demographic shift that the nation and the world has ever seen. In fact, 10,000 people a day are crossing the age of 65. By 2030, 20% of the population will be over 65 years of age. These are enormous changes that are happening in the United States and globally. What does it mean for life, work, and career, and for our society for these changes to evolve? You know, the tradition, of course, is that most courses of work that we prepare ourselves for in our undergraduate years and graduate years last for about 20 to 30 years. Well, that made sense when average survival was relatively limited. Now, midlife is really something that takes place in one's 50s and offers opportunities to think very differently about the future. In fact, today, 18% of people over 65 years of age are still working, and the numbers of interested boomers to continue doing things in either work or meaningful activities is increasing. So the thread of longevity is a reality for all of us, and it really transcends the issue of the baby boom generation, because as science and really our health improves, and there has been a true compression, in fact, of morbidity, so that people between now 65 to 75 really act very much the same way, have relatively well-to-do activities. Education, the second thread, higher education. This has been a theme for many years. You know, the first university was established in 1088 in Bologna. And of course, from the beginning through today, education has really focused, as it should and must, on young people. It's really about bringing people together for that first phase of their lives. The issue of adult education, thinking about adult education, began in Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin, in 1906. And it's had an evolution over time through today, which includes the following. There have been programs such as at Empire State University in New York, programs for continuing education, for adult education. Community colleges have done a very good job in this area, but they have largely focused on the first 50 years of life. What I'd like to share with you today is how do we think about midlife and transitions of individuals when they have completed their first course of their life journey and are trying to think about the next to follow. And what role does higher education play in that prospect? So that's the genesis of the program that we founded here at Stanford, that's in an inaugural year this year, called the Stanford Distinguished Careers Institute. And it's built on these three principles: that in any course of life transition, one needs three critical factors. The first is you need a sense of purpose, some kind of forward movement, something that takes you to the next phase of your life journey. The second is you need community. You need to have a network of people around you. And of course, the third is you need to have endurance and resilience, which comes from a recalibration of health and wellness. So the governing hypothesis, which we're hoping the Distinguished Careers Institute will catalyze, is a transformation of individuals, of universities, and indeed of society. The program is basically constructed to accomplish that. And we began in January of this year. We have our first inaugural class purposefully selected of individuals from around the world from different walks of life who are spending a year here at Stanford in the pursuit of new, renewed purpose. How does that happen? They have an opportunity to select an area of purpose pathways that can include anything from arts and the humanities to entrepreneurship to energy and the environment to health and well-being, and then couple that through a faculty mentor to one or another of the institutes of medicine, institutes at Stanford University. The second is that they're able to pursue those pathways more deeply individually by taking courses throughout the university. And this is enormously important because it allows them not only to develop relationships among each other, but importantly in the transformation of universities, to think about interactions that take place with undergraduate and graduate students, creating a new dialogue for interdisciplinary and intergenerational exchange of information. So purpose comes from picking a path, taking courses, and going deeply either in the area that one has been in the past or opening up a whole new chapter in one's life for the next phase of it. Community comes from really four activities. It comes from bringing our fellows together so that they have an opportunity to learn from and with each other and benefit from a wide array of topics that a university like Stanford has to offer. So we've constructed weekly what we call faculty fellow dialogues that range in topics from things like the Roman Empire to entrepreneurship, to Renaissance machines and health and wellness. Topics that open the doors so people can think differently about who they are. We couple that with what we refer to as a transformation series that allows our fellows to go deeply into who they are by storytelling, sharing their own journeys and benefiting each other. And that is further coupled with colloquia, in where each quarter fellows dive deeply into really exciting areas. For example, this past year we had one-day symposium on the brain, on sustainability, and we'll have one on disparities coming up in the fall quarter. And then monthly events that bring them together with luminary faculty and leaders in the community, all of which guide this community building activity. And coupled with that, of course, is a focus on wellness and health, a way of really trying to invigorate and re-enliven who we are as individuals. Now, what we've learned over the course of this year is that first and foremost, there is a tremendous interest in people spending time at Stanford in this kind of a program. We weren't sure when we conceived of this program just 2 years ago, whether anyone would come. We have an enormous number of people who wish to come, and in fact our exciting list for 2016 is already announced, and even beyond that. So there is a huge interest in people in engaging in midlife recalibration. The second is that the need for community building is profound. I know I've seen a couple of our fellows here in the audience today, and they can share with you that one of the most important things they've done is to form new networks, new connections with each other and with undergraduate and graduate students that they're working and mentoring with. The other is that the need for transformation, for thinking about transition, is very resident in everyone's mind, and that is another part of our activity. Our program is not guided toward creating new jobs, but creating personal transformation. It begins with the simple hypothesis that if individuals have an opportunity, just as they did in their undergraduate years or graduate years, to go deeply in areas, explore new opportunities, connect with each other in different ways, that it will create opportunities for the future. Now, our hope is that the Stanford Distinguished Careers Institute will help catalyze programs across the country and globally. That's the real goal. And the goal has both an individual purpose as well as a university and societal purpose. The individual purpose is that as we think about longevity as a reality, I think we need to re-examine the premise of whether it's healthy or wise to step away from productive activities in our 50s and 60s and even our early 70s, whether we shouldn't be engaged in some meaningful ways to create the future and help to shape the future. The second is that we believe, as I've already articulated, that by bringing together learners of different groups and ages, that we can change the ledger of how we all interact. Think about an undergraduate who's helping to create her or his future, having an opportunity to learn from somebody who's already been there, and the kind of bilateral interconnected sharing that could take place. But there's another purpose which I think has a huge value, and that is if we can connect purpose, community building, and wellness, and translate that across the country and globally, there's a potential that this will begin to attenuate the onset of chronic declines that are naturally going to occur through the life journey, and together with that, potentially reduce the need for medical and social services, which, if you think about it, would have a huge dividend in the 21st century and beyond. So I'm sharing with you today kind of a new thought for universities, and that is not only to do what they've done so well over so many years, but to refocus efforts on midlife education and shape a future that will transform individuals, universities, and society. Thank you very much.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.